Hello and welcome to SSON's Executive Webinar Series. My name is Barbara Hodge. I'm the editor of SSON Online, and I'm delighted to welcome all of you from around the world to today's session. One of the key overall themes today is digitalization. That, in fact, is what's driving a lot of the RPA activity at the moment. So this session coming up is going to talk specifically about how to tap into robotic power to drive digital transformation. To do so, I'm very pleased to present Xerox as a case study. Xerox has been partnering with RPA solution provider Softomotive since 2014. What started with a desktop automation project in the UK has since grown over the last 2 years, and today Xerox European finance team can talk about real cultural change, where RPA is taking away the transactional and processing part of the job and allowing more time for action, ideas, and insights. In this webinar, Sander Schippers, Implementation Manager for Finance Business Transformation at Xerox, will tell us about some of the incredible new capabilities around process automation, robotics, big data, and artificial intelligence that are pushing the boundaries of what was previously possible. Sander works in the Finance Transformation Division, where he is actively involved in centralizing, standardizing, and rationalizing finance support for various GTR sub-work streams. He has broad experience in various areas of corporate finance and a proven track record in delivering cross-functional international finance projects. Today, he's part of the core team responsible for the automation initiative for Xerox Finance in Europe. Joining Sander, I'm also very pleased to introduce Marios Stavropoulos, CEO and co-founder of Softomotive. Marios is a software engineer and technology entrepreneur motivated by creating innovative products that solve real business needs. He's been devoted to high tech for more than 20 years, with his latest initiative being enterprise robotic process automation. Today, Marios and his team are also researching the field of cognitive automation and AI, and you'll have plenty of opportunity to question him on that. I'd like to remind all of you this is live and interactive, so please do pose your questions throughout the presentation. We're setting aside time at the end of the session to address your questions. Marios, with that, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Barbara. So, hello all. My name is Marios Stavropoulos. As Barbara said in her introduction, I'm the CEO of Softomotive. I would like to welcome you all in our webinar where we'll talk about RPA and how Xerox has used our robotic technology in the journey towards digital transformation. So, let me start by saying a few things about Softomotive. We are an RPA technology vendor. We were founded in 2005, and in 2008 we introduced our first automation product, Win Automation. In 2012 we expanded our offering by adding professional service division, and in 2013 we had our first large BPO implementation. This was the time that the initial interest on RPA started to form on an enterprise level. So we transformed our product suite to meet the requirements and the demands of the enterprise market. In 2015, we established our presence in London and New York, and last year we introduced Process Robot, our distributed digital workforce RPA solution, encompassing cognitive RPA and workforce analytics features. Finally, for this year, our plan, apart from evolving our platform even further by adding more enterprise and cognitive features, our plan is to focus on our partners program and expand our global presence with new offices in India and additional US locations. A few facts about our business. We are moving fast, we are growing aggressively, and we've been named the star performer in the latest Diverse Group RPA report. Our solutions are used by more than 6,000 customers worldwide, both in front office and back office implementation, for sales services in accounting, IT, HR, and other verticals. The larger part of our customer base resides in the US and Europe, and as you can see from the chart, a considerable percentage of our business comes from the BFSI sector, which makes sense as it's a sector with lots of processes, usually handled by the back office, processes that can be easily automated and showcase very easily the value proposition of robotic process automation. Now, As I said before, we have two product families. Win Automation, which is targeted to individuals and small teams, but can also be used by companies who want to experiment with automation before committing to an enterprise solution. And then Process Robot, which is our full-fledged distributed workforce RPA platform that provides all the features that are required for an enterprise-level deployment. We are very proud of our technology. Our products integrate seamlessly with all the enterprise applications and systems, no matter how they are built. We integrate with Windows applications, Java, .NET, web applications of any kind, mainframes and legacy systems. We integrate with deployment and visualization environments such as Citrix and VMware. We talk to all databases, all kinds of data sources such as files, emails, Excel worksheets, XML data, you name it. OCR functionality is built in, as well as integration with major cognitive service providers such as Microsoft, Google, and IBM Watson. Of course, security is one of our first priorities, so we support Active Directory integration, key-value authentication, single sign-on, role-based access, and custom access control list throughout the entire platform. In spite of the sophistication of the solution and the breadth of the support technologies, we offer a very user-friendly environment for building processes and robots with a visual interface. Other RPA tools reside on the user actually writing actual code, which in our opinion defeats the purpose of RPA in the first place. And we'll probably have a chance to take a brief look at the platform and how it's used to build processes later in this webinar. Now, let's move to the next slide and have a look at our operating model that we suggest when a company wants to embrace and adopt RPA. Through our experience, we have come up with best practices on different aspects and phases of the RPA adoption process. So, in the initial stage, we advise our customers to invest some time in defining and mapping the processes that they want to start with. Next, discussion groups are formed and the most suitable processes are selected. Selection of the processes that are candidate for automation is an important step, and the obvious advice here is for a company to start with the easiest ones, the ones that provide the quick wins needed for fast adoption. Next, we continue with a proof of concept, along with some initial training for the people that will work with the platform. Once the proof of concept is complete and the real value is communicated to all the stakeholders, we continue with a pilot where a number of processes and robots will be put into production. Subsequently, the next step for the customer is to build a center of excellence and finally scale the implementation to automate as many processes as possible. Now, one last slide before moving to the Xerox case. As we said before, the BFSI sector constitutes a considerable percentage of our customer base, and for good reasons. Our technology has built-in support for different features that are must-have in this and other verticals, such as support for the maker-checker principle, live monitoring of robots and rule-based execution, role-based access, detailed logging for auditing and compliance to regulation. This is, as well, we all know, very important, synchronization and concurrency for making optimal usage of the available resources, and more. Of course, all this results to business agility, which is much needed in today's competitive environment. And with that, I would like to introduce again Sander Schippers. Sander, as Barbara said before, is the implementation manager at Xerox and has worked extensively with our technology for automating and achieving digital transformation. So, Sander, would you like to tell us a few things about your journey in RPA, the reasons that have driven you so far, and the experience that you have gained?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Marius, for the introduction. If you could go to the next slide, please. Right, as mentioned, I am part of the Xerox Europe finance team. And as such, the Xerox company where we're finding ourselves is in a tough market, a competitive market, and we would like to be, as part of the finance function, provide benchmark services to the business. whilst maintaining a high level of ethics and controls, the usual you will find with large US multinational corporates. And as such, we've came across the opportunity to adopt RPA. Obviously, we've started somewhere and evolved beyond that, but there were some reasons to change. Marius, could you please go to the next slide? As mentioned, to help the business be successful, we were asked to standardize, optimize ourselves, the finance processes, and amongst others, we've tapped into the possibilities of RPA and started experimenting. And in turn, it will help us deliver to our goal, being a benchmark finance organization providing quality real-time inside information to our business stakeholders, as well as help us gain the efficiencies needed to be in line with the industry benchmark. Next slide, please. So just a little bit why we've partnered up with Softomotive. There are various reasons for that. We have obviously, well, when I got involved, colleagues of ours within the service delivery back office were already using it. We saw the user interface. We like that very much. It's an intuitive setup, easy to use, and we were quite impressed with the product itself, allowing us to target quick wins quickly. Also reaching out to the vendor through our distributor, we did find it quite easy to get to them. Potentially that's a result of them being a relatively young and smaller company, very easily accessible and get the support needed to query in the early days, from how to get started, how to get the relevant licenses, how to get set up, any technical queries routed through our technical department in setting up the various environments we have, up to where we're now trying to evolve the current setup, and also from time to time allow our user base to query how to build certain scripts in the best possible way. Next slide, please. So we've went through a couple of phases, actually a whole cycle. We're not completely done there, and it's a continuing journey, really. So whilst we had adopted the idea that we want to pursue RPA as a possibility and implementing that for the finance processes supporting our business, obviously, a first step is to gain approval from the senior leadership team. Run through the idea. We got the go-ahead to try it out, experiment, and run a pilot, as was shown just now by Marius in the operating model. We skipped a couple of steps and came back to that at a later stage, but we were just really keen to get started, and as such we've identified our stakeholders within the finance arena, from the various teams, the accounting, shared service support centers, and the business control, and ask them to identify the scope. ask them and challenge them for the processes they'd like to target, and come up with some initiatives, as well as putting forward to-be key users, which they did build our key user base from that. And obviously, in parallel to that, we've set up our license structure, worked with the vendor Softomotive, as well as our software distributor to get that set up. The licenses were deployed to our key user base, and we've provided initial training. We have gone with a self-taught approach, so the experienced key users introducing the concept to new key users via remote conference calls, sessions, and sharing desktops, taking on desktops, showing how to best build scripts, and start small, think big. Basically, evolving from those first builds, taking into consideration that getting started is difficult. We've obviously put up a light governance process. We don't want to overburden the teams and make it into a heavy process by mandating a certain business case for it, which would kill the enthusiasm and the positive energy around RPA, to our view. But we do like to know what our user base is up to, where the support centers are up to, and what the next step in terms of RPA adoption is. It allows us also to track also all the initiatives we have across the globe, and report back on this initiative, and basically justify and rectify the investment made for it. Where we've gotten up to by the end of last year is to get through that quick win phase, and next step is to mature the RPA use for our phase 1 and entities, and a further rollout expected. Also, we're working with Softomotive to understand how we can up our structure and well, develop a setup which allows the business to grab the benefits of RPA in a better way, and that's to be discussed further internally, but also with Softomotive planned for next week. That's our journey so far. We haven't been completing that. Obviously, it's a continuing story, and we're very keen on continuing with that, grasping further benefits, and further transform the finance function within Xerox. So at some point in time, we'll be able to say that we've fully migrated and reinvented ourselves with a finance function with an embedded RPA capacity. But we definitely got started, and we like what we've done so far. Next slide, please. To give you some insight, I've selected a couple of success stories to tell you about. Hopefully those would speak to you. They do all have an accounting background, and potentially it gets a little bit technical, but forgive me for that. The first example is a balance sheet reconciliation for one of our support centers supporting one of our European geographies. They are handling the intercompany accounting on behalf of one of our operating companies, and as such they are reconciling a goods delivered not installed general ledger account, which holds quite some volume and activity, approximately 40K transaction lines per month. The systems obviously match those transactions, and the process there is that goods receipts are matched on intercompany invoices at a PO line level, and this works most of the time, but it doesn't work all of the time. Hence, you have a balance in your general ledger, which you'd like to understand, and hence a balance sheet reconciliation is required. Also from accounting policies, Sarbanes-Oxley, it's a hard requirement to do that. Before manual process, today we're applying RPA to do a large part of the legwork and allowing the accounting specialist to focus on the exceptions, and working with the business, understanding why the PO hasn't cleared. If it has been cancelled, it needs to be unmatched and matched again. That type of stuff, really transactional intercompany accounting. And just for reference, the value for that process flow-through is approximately 3 million euros a month. Next slide, please. Another example, very simple actually, but also very powerful, also in the transactional accounting space. We as Xerox collect money owed by our customers to us from their bank accounts. We have direct debit contracts with them. Nothing fancy about that. It's all per contract. But as you would always find with those instructions you route to your bank, not all go through, because you've got bank accounts which are closed, the bank accounts are insufficiently funded, or whatever the reason is. As those are weekly cycles, the shared service team needs to be on top of this to avoid including that instruction in the next batch if the problem hasn't been solved. So the RPA routine goes into the ERP application, retrieves the invoice, and changes the status of the invoice from open to hold for a temporary block on the accounts receivable invoice, so it is excluded from the next run, avoiding a repeat error. For reference, value flow-through of this process is approximately 5 million euros a month, with a high volume of transactions, approximately 1,000 transactions per month. And we've definitely seen the benefits of RPA being applied, saving a couple of hours a day from those quick wins implemented. Next slide, please. The last example I'm going to tell you about is intercompany accounting related. We have a central supply chain unit supplying into operating companies across Europe, and there's intercompany billing going on between the two for the supply of product. The intercompany receivables in the supply chain center are generated automatically. However, some of our ERP applications don't book all the invoices automatically. So a RPA routine has been developed by our center in Manila to account for the trade payables into the operating company payables books, and accounting for the liability at the general ledger level. The RPA routine records the trade payables invoice at a invoice line level detail, matching it on the PO and posting the invoice in. It spans a geography cluster of 4 countries, 600 invoices, and approximately 3 million euros. It is scalable, so we are in process of scaling that to other countries that are having the similar process and sharing a similar ERP application platform. Next slide, please. So I think the success stories and the journey so far already tell this, but to underline, we have seen the impacts and benefits of the RPA adoption, early days, but we've seen the increased effectiveness. Our finance teams are able to work more efficiently and allow for more time to control, understand the financials, challenge it, work with the business, providing value add to them, and being what we want to be, a benchmark finance organization, supporting our business, giving the right information at the right time. And further down the line with the scaling, we will, if we up our game, it will definitely also yield the cost rationalization, which will be asked from all of the support functions within Xerox to become the benchmark organization we want to be in the tough market environment we're in. Next slide, please.
I think that this is the end of your part, Sander. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this exciting presentation. It's always very interesting to hear how the RPA technology has been implemented on different organizations and on different departments, and we can all learn from that. Now what I would like to do is to move on a high-level architectural overview of our RPA solution, just to discuss a few concepts about RPA and what consists a real-world RPA platform. So let me tell you about the distinction between processes and robots, which is a term that sometimes it's used interchangeably. The robots are the software components that live on different machines on your network and carry out the actual tasks that they are assigned to do. And the processes are the description of these tasks. So what we are doing in when we're implementing an RPA solution is that we are actually building processes that are then fed to the robots for them to execute and carry out. So in this high-level overview of process robot, we see that it consists of a central server that contains all the processes, manages the robots, and handles the deployment of the processes. On the right hand, we see the different robots that are deployed in the production environment in different departments of the company, and we see that we have two different icons for depicting the robots. This is because there are two types of robots. There are the attended and unattended ones. In process robot, the attended robots are called sidebots, and the unattended are called solobots. The difference between them is that the sidebots are usually work in collaboration with the user. They usually start doing some work after the request of the user. They exchange data with the user while they are doing the work. More often than not, they are handling part of the process where we are having a process that can be semi-automated, meaning only a part of this can be automated and the other part still needs to be handled by a human user, saying, for example, when we interact with the customers. On the other hand, the solobots are robots that are programmed to work unattended, meaning that they live on the machine, on the virtual machine. They are able to log in to start doing the task that they are assigned to do, and then log off when they are finished, go to sleep, or continue with another work that has been assigned to them by the central server. On the left hand, we see the different tools that are usually found in the Center of Excellence. It's the client tools, and the three tools in our product suites are the Process Studio, which is the tool that you use to develop your own processes, to create your own processes, to give them to the robots. It's the control desk that it's actually the administrative console of the entire system, where you can monitor the robots, you can see whatever is needed, whatever needs your attention, or of course you can configure the entire platform. And finally, there's the Insights dashboard, which is a BI and analytics tool for retrieving and displaying and creating custom dashboards for displaying custom KPIs that actually give the insights on the actual work that has been done. So apart from the which robots are working, what's the workload at any moment, which processes have been executed and where. There's also a qualitative factor on what has been done within the processes, what's the work that has been done, what work items have been handled, whether they have handled successfully or not, and all this information can be displayed into custom dashboards that can be generated through our Insights dashboard tool. So at this moment we've talking very in an abstract way. What I would like to do is just to give you a very short glimpse of our tool, of Process Robot, just to give you an idea on how the interface looks like and how you can build your processes. So let's start by the Process Studio tool, which is the tool, as we said before, for creating your own processes. If we use the process designer, we see that we have this environment which consists of a library of actions here that gives us all the functionality that we need to use in order to create our processes. We have functionality for interacting with other applications, interact with the mouse and the keyboard, interacting with the user, working with desktop and web applications, working with FTP, email, databases, PDF, mainframes, whatever, all the functionality is built in. And the important fact is that you don't need to recite to code, you don't need to write code, because after all, if the solution proposed asks from you to write code, there's not too much difference from using a traditional development environment to create any applications that you need to create. The idea with the Process Robot is that, and with RPA in general, is that you have an agile tool that you can use in order to automate processes very easily. You don't have to be a programmer. A business analyst with some technical background can create their own processes. And you see here that the idea is that we just drag and drop different actions which act as building blocks to create your own process. So this is the development environment. We have full support for process lifecycle management, meaning that the process can be either in review, in development, or in review or in production. And then once we have created our process, we can go back here to the control desk, which, as we said, is our administrative platform. The idea here is that you have the different processes that you want to deploy to the robots. And you have also the robots that are connected at any time to the system. As we've seen before, it's a central server with different robots connected on different machines. So what we can do here is that we can select the process and say, for example, I want to run this process on this sidebot. And we see here that the process has been initiated on this computer. Of course, most of the time you don't want to execute processes manually, so the idea here is that you have a scheduler, a tool for scheduling processes to run whenever they're needed to run, or of course you can also attach triggers to the process so that you can specify that a certain process can run whenever a condition is met, for example, when an email has arrived or when a certain file has been created or generated at a specific location, and so on. On the other hand, we have different and additional enterprise level features such as the queues, which are used mainly for load balancing, meaning that you can have one robot feeding work items into the queue, and then the queue distributes the work to a number of robots, to a scheme of robots, as we say, to a group of robots whenever these robots are available, meaning that we can achieve both elasticity but also load balancing in order to handle peaks in the workload and so that the system can continue working without hiccups. Then, of course, we have full and detailed logging, which is very important for auditing. Whatever is done is logged to every little detail. So this is also very important for compliance, as we know. And it's one of the benefits of robotic process automation in general, that whatever is done by robots, it's very easy to get logged, so that we can go back. If something went wrong, we can go back and check and make sure that what happened, and we can find the cause of the issue. Now, of course, we are scratching the surface here. There are many additional features that we can show you in Process Robot. This is just a very high-level demo. Here, for example, we have the dashboard designer, where we can create our own charts and enter all the values so that we can create a managerial dashboard that displays the values, the KPIs for the work that has been done. Here we can see a dashboard that shows the tickets that have been closed by a robot, or by a number of robots actually. So we can see different views and graphs regarding the actual work that has been done, and this is of course updated in real time as the robots are performing the actual work. So, as I said, this is a very short demo, and we don't have time at this point to go to a more detailed demo. But of course, you can always visit our site and register for a demo. And we also have regular webinars where we demo our products in case you are interested to see all the features in detail. So, more or less, this concludes the very short demo. And now, Barbara.
Wonderful, Marius. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that. We do like to ask polls of our audience when we have the opportunity to get so many people online. And so if we could launch the poll slide, I'd like to invite all of you to take this very brief poll, check one of the answers. The question is, which phase do you find yourself in right now? Which phase are you in? And the options are starting to look for an automation solution, looking to get general information on automation, looking to replace your automation solution, evaluating RPA vendors, or none of the above. So if you could all please just click on the relevant box, and then let's see what you as an audience, where you generally find yourselves. And I'm going to ask Marius and perhaps Sandra to just comment on that, reflecting on what they hear in their conversations. We have a little robot called Amanda who behind the scenes is busily collating all of the information, and any moment now is going to share the results with us. You've still got a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Please do just click on what phase are you in. It's interesting for us to understand because it also helps us to guide future RPA World Series events. So, looks like the results are going to come up. Here we are. All right, I'm going to read them out. The largest segment by far, evaluating RPA vendors. 29% are at that stage. No, pardon me, the largest segment, looking to get general information on automation, 31%. So just under a third of you are looking for general information on automation. 29% are evaluating RPA vendors. 21% are starting to look for an automation solution. That fits in with what we see elsewhere. 3% are looking to replace your automation solution, and 16% none of the above. Excellent.
Excellent. Actually, this makes sense at the point that the technology is now. Most people are either working on understanding what this is and how this can benefit their companies and their business, and there's already a lot of material to support this. There are already a lot of case studies, and I think that it's by now obvious that there's so much value to be retrieved from introducing an automation solution. On the other hand, we see that a large percentage, a bit less than one-third, is already evaluating solutions and is in the process of choosing the right solution for them. In this case, we could say a few things about what is important and what someone should look for a solution. Not all solutions are at the same level of maturity, so it's important to find the one that can really work with your environment, the one that provides the full number of features that you need for an enterprise deployment, starting from security and going all the way to ease of use, so that you don't end up having programmers, instead of working in Visual Studio doing applications, working in another tool doing automations. And then, of course, one advice that I could give from my part is that a company should always start with proof of concept. I mean, there are different offerings available, and the only way to actually see whether the solution that you are about to choose is the adequate one and the one that is really capable of working with your enterprise applications in your enterprise environment, it's only a proof of concept that can prove that and give you the peace of mind that you've gone with the right solution.
Thank you, Marius. I'd like to pass to Sander. Sander, you're obviously in the position of already being well into an implementation. Could you comment on perhaps what to look for when you're looking for a vendor? That's a question we've had throughout this week's webinars, and I know everyone online is very much interested in what are the criteria that are key when you're choosing to partner with an RPA vendor?
Well, to my view, and I'm not sure if this is a complete answer, and obviously we're partnering internally with multiple groups and multiple disciplines, but in my view it starts with defining your requirements, understanding the needs of your stakeholders, understanding your processes, and yeah, I would also comment and agree with Marius there that a proof of concept allows you to understand the capabilities of a product, and helps you understand the best fit. So you go through that process combined with well, combining efforts with the purchasing the department there for the insight to understand, amongst others, the product capabilities or the software package capabilities, but also the associated pricing.
Yes.
Sure, if that answers
Definitely, I think
the question.
Yep, I think that's exactly it. It's a question that we've heard a lot of yesterday, and I think one of the things that came out too was a track record. Looking for a vendor that has a strong track record. Let me jump on. We've had a lot of questions from the audience. Audience, please do keep them coming in, and I'd like to make sure that we do address these. So if I may, let's start with this question to you, Sanders. And the question is, many presentations have discussed very robust governance processes as they set up RPA. I'm intrigued by the fact that you used a light governance model. Can you expand on this?
Yes, I can. From our direction and the sponsor, and this with early days, to not kill the enthusiasm amongst our user group. We were keen on getting started, and our main aim from the finance GTR perspective is to help our teams gain the insight to their financials, understanding the numbers by taking away the processing element of it, making use of RPA, and to our view, at this moment in time, a light governance process was the right way to do that. It does come down to sponsor ownership, and we have seen mixed results with that, because obviously, if you have the light governance process and you go in that way, teams are subject to business pressures, business as usual deliverables, and sometimes running those two in parallel doesn't work always that well. So that's why we've taken that approach. Not saying it will be like that for the near future.
Okay, thank you, Sander. Let me jump to the next question. What unique insights can you provide from your journey, again to Sander, specifically as a finance professional using RPA? It seems that products are geared for very high volume, transactional, operational teams. What's your comment on that, Sander?
Yes, I would agree. It is mostly applicable on the high volume processes with a repeatable, rule-based nature. Those processes are best fit to automate, and it's been the challenge to our finance teams to select those, and in also such a way that those are targeted as quick wins. But after that, looking into standardizing those across the board to allow for the scaling of those RPA developments. So the full span of the GTR business across processes, across geographies can benefit from it.
Sander, that actually leads on to we've had a couple of questions on the same same issue that you just addressed. Can you comment on the extent to which you in Europe took on this RPA project and the extent to which it's going to be rolled out across other geographies, perhaps even functions? How does that work?
Well, the span of my control is definitely the pilot at hand, and the pilot contains the Europe function for finance here within Xerox. We will scale or try to scale where applicable the common processes across all applicable parts of the GTR support function. Over and beyond that, well, I can't comment. I do know that other colleagues of myself inclusive the US and the support centers in the US, as well as our Europe OTC business, are also experimenting with the use of RPA and drawing their own plans. And we're guiding that. We're under guidance with the IM team. And it's all still early days. We're forming that what is to be global competency centers, which the business can turn to for RPA-related needs. And that's one of the next steps I'm expecting we'll go through in the next 12 months.
Okay, so for now, each region is basically developing and testing some solutions on their own.
Yes, the things are being ran in parallel. That's
Okay.
Absolutely true.
Thank you. Marios, let me address you with this question. Does the tool have cognitive capabilities, machine learning, AI, any of those issues that are now starting to be talked about? Could you comment on
Sure.
what you're doing at Softomotive?
Sure. There's a lot of interest nowadays for cognitive and AI, and we hear it everywhere. We are strong believers in specialization and in doing things right on everyone's sector. So what we are doing is that we have full support for machine learning and cognitive functions. We actually Process Robot is a platform for executing and accessing the best cognitive functionality that is available nowadays. It has support for cognitive functionality provided by Microsoft, cognitive services, by Google, and by IBM Watson. In a nutshell, yes, we have full support for cognitive capabilities and AIs. But again, we focus on building the execution platform, and we use the best technology that is available out there for augmenting our platform.
And Marios, could I add on to that? Are analytics built into your tool, or do you use a third-party tool, for example, Spotfire or Tableau?
That's a great question. We have our own tool for analytics, the one that we've seen before, just for we just got a glimpse on it, but we have our own tool for building dashboards and analytics and getting insights from the workforce. But on the other hand, there's also the possibility for the user to use the third-party tools if they choose to, so they can use Tableau or whatever else, and extract the data from the server. The architecture is open, so a third tool can integrate and get the data and act as an analytic tool if this is the choice of the user.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Sander, another question for you. You mentioned that in direct debits, in the example you shared, you had, I believe, 1,000 transactions per month. The question is, how many bots were required to manage this workload?
Just one.
One robot?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to expand on the ability to scale? Yes.
Excuse me, let me comment on that. Another very important fact, of course, is that when we're talking about productivity, there's actually no comparison between a robot and a human user, because so it may sound strange that a robot may handle this number of transactions, but this is the idea behind RPA and behind a mature platform that can handle a large, big workload. So that it's not that with one robot we can do the work of one employee. Imagine, for example, that a robot is working 24/7 without the need to rest or do anything else. So there is this difference between the productivity of a human user and a robot. But excuse me, Sander, I hijacked your question.
Oh, but it's a good add-on, definitely. Well, this particular one, it's not a full-time robot. It's picking up the task at hand on a daily basis, I believe, but it runs a couple of hours a day, maximum, and there are other routines on the side filling the capacity for that that robot, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. We have time for one more question. Marios, perhaps I could pose this one to you that I think kind of summarizes probably what we want to take away from here. The question is, could you share a checklist of items to make sure that we cover everything when selecting an RPA tool for shared services?
Sure, absolutely. There are many things to be considered, and there's also a different on the environment and how mature is the environment and how all the stakeholders are ready to accept this solution. So we may need to focus on ease of use and having some quick wins in order to move and get the approval from all the people involved. On the other hand, of course, it needs to be a mature solution that has all the enterprise features, that has security, very important. And it needs to be able to talk with all the systems that you have available. I mean, if the robots are not able, for example, to talk with an application that's deployed through Citrix, or a system is not able to talk to your mainframe, then you'll have problems in the implementation, and you'll need to try to work around. The problem is that the list is very long, and it's different for each enterprise. So that's why I'll repeat again my first advice and say that the only way to make sure that you've made the right choice is to do a short proof of concept, and in this way, in this case, the vendor should be eager and happy to give you, to help you with proof of concept. Otherwise, there may be other reasons why they don't want to proceed with a proof of concept. And this will give you the peace of mind that you need, and make sure that you've selected the right solution for your needs.
Marios, thank you. Great summary and guidelines to our listeners on what to check off as they're moving down this path. So that does bring us to the end of this session. I'd like to thank Marios Stavropoulos, CEO and co-founder of Softomotive, very much for being part of this. And of course, I'd like to thank our case study, Sander Schippers, Implementation Manager within Finance Business Transformation at Xerox Europe. Sanders, thank you very much for your part in this. And of course, I'd like to thank all of you, our network members, for logging into this webinar, which is part of the RPA World Series running all of this week. Please don't forget, we still have sessions running tomorrow, Friday, 2 more sessions there. Please check the website, rpaworldseries.com, if you want to get an update on the agenda, and check your inbox for the email with your invitation. Thank you again to everyone for being part of this wonderful World Series. This concludes today's webinar.